Hi guys, it's Jay. So as you can tell, I have a very exciting announcement via this hand over my face. I got my nose double pierced. Woo! So if you know me, I have a lot of piercings. Just kidding. This is not real. These are fake. They're just random hoops that I put up my nose. I thought it would be really fun to do it for this video. As you can read from the title of this video, this is, oh, actually it's on the bottom. I forget that it's not on the top, at the bottom. This is my piercing experience, my piercings in general, a piercing haul, if you will. I'll try my hardest to give you a rundown of as much information as I can if you're interested in piercings. Piercings are such an integral part of my physical characteristics, my physical persona. So this is really exciting that I get to talk about them. I don't have any crazy piercings, but I think mine is more quantity of piercings that is sparks interest from people rather than the actual piercings. And I've also decided not to talk about any aftercare. You can talk to your piercer if you do get a piercing and they can tell you what they recommend, or you can look at some educational articles, aka Google online. I know a lot of people, from what I've seen in other comment sections on piercing videos, just have a lot of opinions, and to be honest, like, I don't care about them. And that sounds very harsh, but I've already gotten my piercings. I did what I did, they're fine, I'm okay, I haven't died yet. That's just not to say that I don't care about your well-being watching this, but there's just so many opinions, so do what you feel is right for you and what a professional says, because I am not a professional. And my other disclaimer that I see a lot of the time is, I know you're not supposed to get pierced with a gun. I've got enough piercings to know that. I know you're supposed to go with professional blah, blah, blah. Like, I know I've gotten some of them with guns. I've gotten some of them in like a sketchy, not sketchy, like establishments, but not like a piercing place. So if you have any opinions on that, I also don't care, because I already got all my piercings done. But if you are thinking about getting a piercing, I do recommend going to a tattoo place, a piercing parlor. I don't recommend Claire's, even though I've gotten some of them at Claire's. But yeah, do what you will to your discretion. This is just my experience. I'm gonna be rating it from 1 to 10, a 5 just being about like it hurt, but it wasn't unbearable, a 10 being like, oh my God, I would never get that again, and a 1 being that it didn't hurt that badly. So take that as you will, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone has a different pain tolerance. All right, cool. After all of that hoo-ha, shusha, kuka, chihu.
Don't say chihu. It's
we're gonna get right into the video. I'm really excited to talk about my piercings, as you can tell, so let's get it rolling. I'm gonna start off with my first piercing. So like most people, my first piercing was my lobes. And funny thing, after saying that comment, actually, 2 of my really good friends don't even have their lobes. They just have a cartilage piercing. And Sarah, you know, you and my other friend. So that's just so interesting to me. But like most people, I got my first piercing on my lobes. And I actually have a pretty funny story about that. I got it when I was 3, and my memory of it, or 3-ish, in the Philippines, because I lived in the Philippines for a couple of years growing up. And what was funny about that is I don't know if it's a memory or a memory because people have told me stories about it, but regardless, I got one of them done. I believe it was this one that I got done first. And then I was at the piercing place and I was not having it. I was scared. I thought I was being really dramatic and going like this. I remember like going like that and them trying to get my hand off, and I was crying because I was a dramatic person growing up. So I was just crying. I was 3 years old. So we didn't get this one, these 2 actually at the same time. I got one, and then I think maybe 3 to 6 months later, I got the other one. And that was how my first piercing went. Pain level, I would say, I don't really remember, but honestly, from my dramatic self, it was like a 10 out of 10. But in reality, it was probably like a 2 or a 3, maybe like a 3 because I was a little bit younger. It really didn't hurt that much. If you're a little bit older, like I know some people get it when they're teenagers, 13, 12, something like that, it doesn't really hurt. It's 2 seconds of pain. Whoa, okay, my faux nose piercing just came out. I'm gonna take them out. Sorry about that. yeah, so I got that one when I was pretty young, and healing wise, I can't really remember healing, so I can't say too much about that. And cuteness, I'm glad my aunt did decide to get my ears pierced. So my second piercings, or set of piercings, since I guess this is 1, 2, so 3, 4 was my second set of lobes, and I got this way later. I remember begging my parents, my sister remembers this, to get my second piercings because everyone else's parents were really chill and I had Asian parents. So after I think maybe like a year or 2 of begging to get my seconds, I got them when I graduated 8th grade. So I was around 13 and I got them in Vegas at a mall at Eclairs. So I got it with a gun, just like my first ones I also got with a gun. And it didn't really hurt. I hadn't gotten a piercing since I was little, so that was my only experience, so I was pretty nervous. But I would say the pain was like a 2.5 because I was nervous. And then it was a quick shoot in, and that was it. And I know Claire's charges, don't quote me on this, but I think maybe it's like, it's free, but you charge for the earring. So I think we paid like $30 for our earring. I just got a basic stud. That one was pretty easy healing. I didn't really have any issues with it. I don't even know if I used like antiseptic or spray or anything on it. Healed after a couple weeks, no issues. Yeah, so that was my second piercing. So my third piercing, this is when I got a little bit wishy-washy in my head because I went through my piercings and then I backtracked and I was like, wait, that's not right. So my third piercings, or my third set, wasn't actually a set. So I actually got my third one, like lobe one. So I actually got my 5th piercing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. So I thought I was cool doing this uneven thing. And that was the style I wanted. So I got a third one. I believe, that could be completely wrong, but I think that's what happened. I got a third one over here. So it's another lobe one. The experiences were all pretty much the same. I'll repeat them just for consistency's sake, but they were really all the same. So this one hurt just as much as the second one, healed just the same. And I didn't get this side until I got, okay, it doesn't matter. It's either I got this one by itself or I got this one by itself. And then when I got the other one, I got these 2 cartilage piercings. So it doesn't really matter. But I hate that I can't remember that. I just know I got them separately. Okay, but either way, I got these 2 piercings. I got them separately. My third lobes were all separate. And healing was about the same. I think I paid like $5 because I went to like an Asian mall in Garden Grove. So that wasn't legit. I got it with a gun. I know. Sue me. Honestly, the pain was probably even less because I was used to getting piercings. It was like a 1.5, 2, something like that. Super easy. All the lobes ones felt pretty much the same. It just got easier as I got older because I knew it was 3 seconds of pain and then you shoot it and it was done. And the healing was like the worst part maybe because sometimes it gets itchy during the time that it's healing and then some people get infected. I didn't really have that problem with my lobes. My body was pretty good at healing that, so I didn't really have any issues, but that was my, I guess, out of order. That is my 5th and 6th. Okay, now we go to our 7th and 8th, which is our 4th set of lobes over here. I know it gets complicated that I go back and forth. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, I got my thirds when I was 15. They hurt a tiny bit more. These were like a 2, a 2.5 again, because the higher you go up, the closer you are to your cartilage. Some people's cartilage starts a little bit lower. Mine's about half and half. So that was still on the low part, but it's a tiny, tiny bit firmer. So that hurt like a 2, a 2.5. Healing was about the same. And price, I think I paid $5 each because again, I didn't go to like a proper place. I went to like a janky salon and I made some questionable decisions in high school that I don't regret, but questionable. Like if my kids did this, like, damn. Like, also I have so many piercings, they might as well just ask me, hey mom, do you wanna go? Like, can I go? And I feel like I can't say no because I have so many, but they're gonna have to earn it, so. And if I see them go behind my back, like, tiger mom. so moving up my ear, we're gonna go onto this side of my ear. So we've done these 4. We'll go into these 2 because I got those in high school. So this one is a tragus, the one right here that's not really on my ear. And then I have a rook over here, which wasn't the best piercing placement, but we'll get to that. So I got those at the same time. That was my senior year of high school. I went with one of my best friends, Lauren, I think. And then we got that right before the back to school dance our senior year. And I was all about just getting piercings whenever. Like, I remember when I got my second ones in Vegas, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a piercing in every place that I travel to. Like, girl, you were delusional. You got hella piercings after that. So the tragus and the rook, I would say they hurt the most out of my ear. Oh, they hurt about all even. Like, all the weird ones on this side hurt about the same. These weird ones were about a 4.5 to 5 on the pain scale. I paid, I think, maybe $5 or $10 each. I think $10 each is what I paid for these. I got them pierced exactly with what they have now. I changed out the jewelry from them, but the same style. So I have a stud on this one, and then I just have a bar on the rook. And I got them at the same time. So I got my tragus first, and that hurt a little bit because the cartilage is thicker, so I could kind of hear a pop. It didn't actually hurt horribly, but it just, because it was thicker, there was more pressure going into my ear. A lot of what hurts on a piercing isn't actually that it hurts, it's the pressure being pushed on your skin. At least in my experience, in my opinion, that's what it is. The healing was kind of annoying. I couldn't put earbuds in. Even now, I have a harder time putting earbuds in because there's something sticking there. But when I first got it done, I got a bump on the back of it and on the front, and I thought, like, this piercing has got to go. But I stuck it out, I cleaned it, and I took care of it. I made sure I didn't tug on it or anything, and it finally healed. And then I put in a newer stud just to make it look a lot more posh. I don't really take it out, I don't really change that jewelry. And I got the rook also with a bar, and I still have a bar in it right now, just a newer one. And that one hurt like 0.5 more because the adrenaline went to the first one. So when I got to the second one, I was being cocky. I was like, it's not gonna hurt. And it didn't hurt that bad, but there was not as much adrenaline rushing on that piercing, so it hurt a tiny bit more. Healing was kind of similar to my tragus. It's on like that cartilage part of your ear as well, so I got a bump and I cleaned it, and then it went away after a while. And you have to kind of, like, sometimes crusties get stuck under there, so I clean it with like a Q-tip. Not the actual piercing, it's just like my ear. Now that it's said and done, because it's been so long that it definitely is healed now. But yeah, that was my experience with those 2. Oh, and what one of my piercers actually told me when I got this re-pierced, when I got one of my cartilages re-pierced, is that he said people with more melanin in their skin, so like African skin, like Asians, like Latinx, like people with more color, like people of color, have a harder time healing. As this is just what my professional said, I have no idea. And he was like, that's probably why you're getting more like keloids and bumps and having a harder time healing your cartilages, or sometimes they will never heal like you want it to because you're of Asian descent or like you're Islander. So that's something to consider maybe if you are also Asian or more color in your skin. And that might affect your healing process. So that's just something to consider as well. It could just be a genetic thing. Okay, moving on to the last one on this side. I have a conch piercing. I got this one on my 20th birthday spontaneously. My best friend Rosa got 3 of them done right here, and I was like, dude, I love piercings. It's my 20th birthday. Let's get dinner, let's get a piercing. So I got this. I got it done with a bar first to let it heal because I learned my lesson on the other side, which I'll explain later. But I did that with just like a stud bar thing. Great terminology. That one hurt probably like a 5.5. It was really thick. It hurt, wasn't unbearable. I could do it again. Healing process was a beezy. I waited for it to heal for a year and some, like over a year. And then I finally recently got it changed to a hoop when I went with my sister to get her cartilage re-pierced. And it kept acting up, it kept getting inflamed, it kept getting bumps, and I just couldn't figure out how to heal it. And then I wanted a hoop. I was like, whatever, if it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna take the piercing out completely. The guy hooked me up with a bigger hoop He's like, I don't recommend you going any smaller. So this is not my preferred hoop, but I also don't want to make things worse for my ear. And I kind of got used to it. I like how it looks now, but I wanted something more snug. It just didn't happen that way, and I don't want to push my luck, but I actually really like how it looks on my ear now. And it's healing a lot better. There's not as many bumps on it. The back has a little bit of a bump, but like the front looks good most of the time. I try to keep it clean. So it still acts up like a regular new piercing sometimes, but I've learned to live with it. I like it. I haven't had too many issues nowadays that I've kind of learned how to deal with it, but it was a beezy to heal. And that one I think was like 50 something dollars without tip. So that one was a little bit more expensive, but the guy did a really good job, and you know, I gave him a tip as well. So we're gonna move on to this ear. Okay, so I'm gonna just talk about these two. Pain-wise, I got them at the same time, got them with a gun. A lot of people say that your cartilage could shatter. Probably true. Mine were okay. I do recommend getting it with a needle. The first time I got it done was with a gun, and then when I had to re-pierce one of them, I had to do it with a needle. I got those two done junior year high school, so I was 16. I think I was 16 when I got them done. So I got both of those done with one of my thirds that I cannot remember anymore. And the healing process on that sucked sleeping wise. All of these weird ones, like I'm so used to having stuff poking me while I'm sleeping now, but if you don't like that, don't get piercings. And healing, they were okay. I got them pierced with a stud, so that was one good thing I did. But then when I decided to change them to hoops, the top one was okay, but the bottom one after a while just developed this ginormous keloid, like huge, to a point that when I got to college, it just was so irritated all the time, even after like having it for, you know, 3 years or like multiple years or whatever, or multiple years. So I took it out, and then I got it re-pierced my last year of college, which was my 3rd year of college, at like a place, and he just re-pierced it. After it had healed, I let it heal and everything. So I got that redone, and it was probably like $30 or $40 to get that done. But when I first got it, I went to a sketchy place, so it was like $5 each. And now I just keep studs in them. I initially wanted to get them for that cute double hoop look, but I think just on my ear, I like how the studs look. There's probably gonna be a time where I decide to put hoops in it again, but I think right now I'm pretty content with how my ears look. This is like what my daily earrings are, and I'll change them out here and there. I used to have a like cute flower stud, and I've always wanted to change a couple of these out, but this is just my setup for now, and it matches everything, and I like the little hoops. So I just kept these as studs, and when they were hoops, it was kind of fun because this was a hoop and that was a hoop, and then I had a stud. So it was like one stud, one hoop, one stud, one hoop. Now it's changed. So that was kind of my experience with my cartilage piercings. My skin works better when it has studs, so I'm just gonna leave the studs in, and I like the look. But I think the cartilage piercings are probably like the cutest. If you wanna get something that isn't too scary, I love like a cartilage piercing. And I know this is like a helix because all of this is technically cartilage, but you know, from popular mainstream lingo, everyone just calls it cartilage, so there's that. Now we are on my last piercing. I didn't get this one last, but it's like the one that's not on my face. So the last one that I currently still have in is my belly button piercing. I got that when I was 16, like spring semester of my junior year of high school. I was 16. I got it done, again, not at a piercing place, but I got it done with a needle. I don't think it hurt that bad. It was, I would say maybe a 3.5, 4. It was just uncomfortable because I was standing, and then it just is a weird piercing to get. Healing, I used like a warm salt water solution, and it healed pretty well. It was a little bit sore the first couple of weeks, which they do tell you. So when you're moving around, be careful. Try not to let it get snagged on anything. You know, don't go to the beach and like do something stupid. But the healing process wasn't that bad. I thought it was just like kind of uncomfortable and kind of sore maybe the first 2 to 4 weeks. And then after that, it was smooth sailing. I didn't have any bumps on it. I didn't have any issues with that one. It just was a weird one to get. And I think I paid like $15 for that one, which you could already tell that was kind of sketchy. But it is like one of my favorite piercings I've ever gotten. That one just, when I'm wearing, you know, clothes that look like that, I just feel, okay, woo! You guys have made it through all the piercings that I currently have on my body. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. I only have 14 in. 3, what, okay, 8. Yeah, I only have 14. Weird, that feels so weird. I used to have more, so I'm actually gonna do a quick bonus round, or a bonus content of piercings that I used to have. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the ones that were just kind of like a hit it and quit it. So I used to have a piercing, a forward helix as well on this side. I used to have a hoop, and I got that randomly with one of my other best friends. Everyone's my best friend, but my other best friend in a different friend group, Christine, she wanted her second, so I was like, I'm gonna get a piercing too. We went to a tattoo piercing place. No, it's just a piercing place. And it was $32 plus tip, so I just got a hoop there. And then Lauren also got a piercing, and so I randomly got a piercing too. And this used to be fully lined, so this one in the middle used to be there. It hurt just the same as the other cartilages. It was $5. So I had these two at one point, if you can imagine that. So I had this one right here as a hoop, and then I had this just as a stud. So I had this all done. And then the last one, that's 14, 15, 16, yeah, 17, 18. So my last two that I had was a double nose piercing. I got my first one in high school. It was my senior year, spring break of high school, and I thought my parents were gonna kill me. Like, it was on my face. I have Asian parents. They're gonna kill me. And before I go into telling my parents that I got my nose pierced, it was probably like $15, $20 to get that pierced. I got it in with a needle, and my whole left side just teared up, like immediately. And if you've ever gotten a nose piercing or have seen videos, it just automatically does that, I think, because of the anatomy of your nerves being right there and that being all connected. I don't really know. I was a international business major and not bio. I wanted one for a while, and I was like, my parents are gonna kill me. And then one day I was like, you know, I'm just gonna do it. Whatever, I'm gonna put a clear retainer and they're not gonna see it, and then this and that. And then 3 days later, I decided I'm just gonna tell them. And I paced back and forth while they were eating dinner. I kept going in and out. And then my mom goes, what do you have to tell us? And I was like, I'm not doing drugs and I'm not pregnant. I was like, I got my nose pierced. And they were like, where? And so I showed them the clear retainer, and they kind of just were over all my shenanigans, I think, at that point. And I wasn't doing anything bad. Like, I was a straight A student. I was involved in school. Like, I had a future going for me. So it wasn't like I was a hood rat just doing a hood rat stuff. Not that piercings are hood ratty, because I'm all for them. But I think they were just over me getting so many piercings that they were like, whatever, we don't care. They were just like, can you just get out of my sight right now? So that's what happened there. And then I got a double nose piercing, intending that I would have a double nose ring, but that didn't really work out because I have a flat Asian nose. So I ended up actually having more of a stud and a hoop in for most of the lifetime of those piercings. I had a double hoop for a while, but for the most part I had a stud and a hoop, and that hurt like a 5. It hurt the most. I mean, those two hurt the most because it was on my face. So I feel like that was automatic that it hurt and all of that, but I got that done. I actually dropped Trent off at class. I went to go get it pierced, and I came back and he didn't even notice, and his mom was the one who was like, Jay, you got a new piercing? And he was like, you got another piercing? Like, while he was in class for an hour, I was like, I'm gonna take the car and I'm gonna get a piercing. And I did. And he was like, so I had one of them for 4 years and the other one for 3 years, I think. And I took it out last year. I just wanted to change, like I said in the beginning. I actually got a really bad keloid on it, and I stuck it out with salt rinses until it finally went away, but I do have a little bit of a scar on it. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to getting all my piercings done, and I hope you like looking at them. If you're interested in getting one, I hope this gave you a little bit more information. It wasn't really meant to be that educational, again, because I'm not a professional, but I hope that listening to my experience and looking at my piercings could give you a better view on if you want one or if you don't. I hope that this one was like a nice refresh from seeing clothes and getting to know a little bit more about me and my rebellious days back in high school. I kind of miss that Janelle, but she's still in there. She's just waiting to come out. Kind of, I actually don't know. I feel like I'm a lot more tame now. But yeah, look out for my videos coming up, and I will see you guys on the next one.